Please continue on with your breakfast, but I'm just going to speak and continue to eat. My name's Trudy Camo. I'm the president of Pathway to Progress Nicaragua, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. A lot of friends and familiar faces, people that we've seen over the past 5 years, as Kate has said. She also said this is our 5th annual breakfast. And as I reflect on this, I want to tell you how proud I am to be a part of this organization that is really making a difference in the lives of children. And this is a celebration. All of the members of our board of directors are here with us this morning, so if you just kind of give a little wave and you'll know who it is that sort of has the vision behind what we're doing here, along with Barb and Ed. Joanne Murphy, Greg Aitkins, Peggy Yap, Stanko Vacci, Diana Kozla, and Rob Alford. Thank you for your commitment. And a huge thank you to Kate, because this is the 5th year that she has put this all together. Thank you so much. Thank you to many volunteers, you know who you are, who have given to us in many ways. Some of you would know that this all started about 18 years ago when Edward and Barbara Dunsworth felt a call to do something a little different in their lives, something more meaningful, and they had a real sense of adventure. As you were coming in, some of you would have met Barbara, and with her is Blanca, our very special guest. They traveled up from Managua. On Tuesday they came in, and I'm sure that Blanca must have thought, oh my goodness, where am I? Because it was about 30 degrees when they left Managua. So welcome, Blanca. We're delighted that you are here, and I hope you enjoy your time in Halifax. Edward and Barbara have developed and nurtured the Pathway program over the last 10 years in Managua. At the time, they became the program directors for with Hand in Hand Ministries, a U.S. not-for-profit organization, and they've been administering the program ever since that time. And that Hand in Hand Ministries is dedicated to assisting those living in poverty. So after the program was established, a few of us here in Canada wanted to find a way to support the work. So Pathway to Progress Nicaragua was incorporated and became a registered Canadian charity in December 2009. And the purpose is to raise funds for the scholarship program. The program started with 3 students, and now there are 85. When we set out our budget in that first year in 2010, we thought, do you think we can really raise $25,000? And we looked at each other and said, well, we're going to try. We were very optimistic. And in that year, we raised $31,000. Jump ahead to the 5 years. Our last fiscal year, we raised $104,000, and that's equivalent to sending 50 of our children into the program. So we were very excited about that. But that is because of many of you who are here in this room today. We now have 36 children that are fully sponsored by Canadians. And to you, the sponsors, and all the others who have given so generously in kind or have witnessed the work firsthand in Managua, I extend my heartfelt thanks. Our charity is most fortunate to be run by dedicated volunteers, and this means that we have been able to send close to 95% of the donations directly to the program. As the students are now growing into their high school years, because most of the students start this program at age 5 or 6, and Ed is always thinking of new ideas. And one of his new ideas is to teach these students how to drive because when they turn 16 years old, because that's not something that's easily accessible for them. Another idea that he is exploring, and this kind of needs a little bit of help from all of us up here, is that when the students finish their grade 11, which is the end of their high school, that they would spend a few months in the back half of the grade 11 here in Canada, because they finished in December and they could spend January to June here. And wouldn't that be a wonderful way for them to come and solidify their English skills? So that's just some of the things that Ed and Barbara are always thinking ahead. What can we do? What more can we do to help these students to get them on a solid path into their adult lives? Another thing we have recognized is the importance of providing an opportunity for service trips to enable people to go to Managua and work alongside of a family. And you will hear some impressions from one of the recent travelers in a few minutes. This past May, my husband Michelle and I traveled to Managua. It was our third visit there. We had an incredible 2 weeks there. But one thing that was really fun was Barb had organized that Michelle would talk to some of the students in a little session. He actually did 2. So you want to be an engineer. So he had 2 40-minute interactive sessions with the students. And at the end of it, he said to them, now, how many want to be an engineer? Half of them put up their hands. So we thought that was great. And we really do hope and pray that all of these students will get through high school, and perhaps there will be a few engineers among them. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And now I'm going to just put your attention, continue having your breakfast and coffee, and we will have a video presentation that shows you a little bit about what life is like for our families living in Managua. Thank you.
Colegio Calasanz, the Baptist School of Managua, Loyola Institute, Barrio Los Martinez, La Chareca, Acahualinca. When we see the contrast between these places, we may well ask ourselves, how are they connected? Communities in extreme poverty, and schools where most of the students are from the middle class. Olga grew up scavenging in the city dump, where at the age of 14, she met her husband, Natalio.
Yo me alegré cuando me dijeron pues que él iba seleccionado de la beca.
La vida de mi hijo es súper mejor que mía porque yo no estuve en clase, y a mí no he puesto en clase.
Ahorita él tiene una oportunidad de salir adelante y yo lo veo en un futuro convertido en un profesional. Por ejemplo, la idea de él dice, ser profesor de idioma, dice, va a ser y de matemática.
Me gusta estar en el colegio porque es muy bueno pues para mí. Me enseñan mucho, ya sé leer, estoy en segundo grado, también salgo en el cuadro de honor, me enseñan muchas cosas.
Olga's family, and many others like them, are connecting these two worlds through our educational sponsorships.
My husband Ed and I work for Hand in Hand Ministries. We started an education program here in Nicaragua called Pathway to Change for children of marginalized families. We are now very happy to say that we have the support of a Canadian organization called Pathway to Progress Nicaragua. What we offer is a chance for children from very low-income families to get a high-quality education. The reality is that it's a challenge every day for these families just to put food on the table. In their homes, there are no books, there are no puzzles, there are no resources, none of the things that we take for granted as the fundamentals of a good education. In addition to covering the direct needs of education, such as tuition, transportation, books, and food, and many other things, we also try and meet the physical, emotional, and relational needs of the children and their families.
En el proyecto hemos recibido muchos beneficios económicamente, le han puesto tutoría, recorrido, uniformes, libros, bastante ayuda con las clases que no entienden. También hemos recibido ayuda por parte de medicina. El ministerio le ayudó mucho con la operación que le hicieron en agosto, porque si no, quizás se hubiera muerto. Nos ayudaron bastante, gracias a Dios, el año pasado. Todavía le falta otra más. Gracias a Dios estamos bien y gracias al ministerio por toda la ayuda que nos ha brindado en todos estos años.
Medical attention is critical, but it's only part of the picture. Without supportive and involved parents, educational progress is almost impossible.
Es que nosotros como facilitadoras en el programa hacemos visitas con frecuencia a los hogares de cada uno de los niños y visitamos también los colegios para tener información de cómo va el proceso de aprendizaje en cada uno de los niños y luego informamos en las visitas a los padres si también es necesario que se enfoquen un poquito más. Eso es lo que nosotros hacemos como facilitadora, concientizar a los padres, que ellos entren en este proceso de cambio, porque la verdad es que un cambio de vida la que van a tener los niños, pero es a largo plazo.
Actualmente estoy estudiando en la Universidad UNAM Managua, estudio diplomacia y ciencias políticas. Formo parte del programa de becas hace 4 años y ha cambiado mi vida, la de mi familia, en especial la de mis hermanos, ya que antes no teníamos las mismas oportunidades. Si hubiera seguido en el colegio donde estaba antes, siento que realmente no estuviera aquí, ya que las condiciones eran muy difíciles. One of the advantages that I have in the scholarship program is that I can speak in English because it's very important in my career. Many of my classmates didn't have this opportunity and they cannot speak in English at all.
These are just a few of the many stories where lives are being changed. Won't you join us and the families we are walking with to make a better future for their children?
Me siento orgulloso de esto, porque a pesar que soy un obrero que ando detrás de un camión levantando basura, ya. Y entonces yo me siento alegre para que mi hijo vaya adelante.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Maña. My favorite class is math.
Mi nombre es Maribel Silva, tengo 38 años, él es Kevin, tiene 7. Estamos muy agradecidos con el programa porque él ha mejorado increíblemente sus notas, ha mejorado bastante su autoestima y aquí ha podido integrarse con muchos niños de su edad y eso le ha ayudado bastante.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Elida Guerrero, esta es mi hija Ana Lucía, que yo espero que ella siga en el programa muchos años más y que llegue a la universidad.
15th grade. 5th grade.
Hello, my name is Giselle. I am 11 years old. My favorite class is natación. Swimming.
Morning. My name is Rob, and I was recently on a trip to Nicaragua, which I was asked to speak about. Now, I'm not big into public speaking, especially at this early morning hour, but I'm really excited to tell you about my experience in Nicaragua. I was there this past February. And so when I thought about what I'm going to say this morning, I just thought I'd ask myself the question, what did I experience in Nicaragua? I remember the first day that we arrived in an overcrowded slum. I'll never forget the rickety houses, narrow dirt roads, and abject poverty. I've been all over the world. I used to be in the military. I've served all over the world. But when you come face to face with abject poverty, it hits you here. I also experienced on that same day, in the midst of all of this poverty, joyful people. Not just joyful people, but bursting at the seams joyful people, thankful people, and it was contagious. So what was my first day like? It was joyful. It was amazing. We went to Mass at a small chapel called San Antonio's, and there we worshiped with many dear, humble people. And I thought about St. Anthony, you know, the patron saint of lost things and lost people. And I experienced unity in the human experience. It was beautiful. I didn't know who was lost and who was found, and it didn't matter because we're all in this together. We also visited Nayeli Castro, a young lady some of you may have met, a very gifted young woman who spoke here at this breakfast 2 years ago. Donations allowed me, as part of a team, to present Nayeli with a laptop. She began university, if I recall correctly, the very next day or a couple days after we presented that laptop. Here we are in Nayeli's home. Again, a rickety home, dirt floors, presenting a young woman with a laptop who was beginning university. She would not have had that opportunity had it not been for the program. So I felt very thankful for people who care, because it is making a difference. I had lunch with kids in the Pathway program. I saw that the kids, these kids that I was playing with, could have been my kids transplanted from a home of privilege to a life of struggle. And so this gave me hope, tremendous hope. I have an 11-year-old son who plays soccer with Halifax City. I remember this particular day playing soccer with the kids. I saw their enthusiasm, their skill, and their thirst for love and acceptance and joy, and it made me wish that my children were there with me, that they would have loved playing soccer with these kids. It gave me a tremendous sense of love. I visited a public school as part of the program down there. Public education system, as was briefly mentioned in the video, is broken. Seeing what this program, what Barb and Ed have put together down there, gave me a tremendous sense of hope amid so much brokenness. One day, we took kids to a swimming pool, and not an elaborate swimming pool, just a basic, relatively small swimming pool, a very small swimming pool for the number of the kids that were in the pool. It was as if we had taken these kids to Disneyland. It was amazing. So what did I experience in Nicaragua? I experienced joy. I experienced unity, hope, beauty, love, and an overwhelming sense of gratitude. That's what I experienced in Nicaragua. I learned that family support and education are key components to lifting kids out of the broken cycle of poverty. And these two things, family support and education, are the backbone of the Pathway mission. So in closing, I think I'd just like to say, when I was reflecting on this, I thought of this young 16-year-old Malala. Most of us know Malala, a recent, as I mentioned, 16-year-old Nobel laureate. She said this: "It is not the time to tell leaders of the world how important education is. They already know it, and their kids are in good schools. Now is the time to take action." She went on to say, "One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world." I didn't teach a thing in Nicaragua. I learned. I was so moved by my experience in Nicaragua. When I returned back and talked to my family, my wife, about it, we decided to sponsor a child, and I've joined the board, and I'm looking forward to journeying on my path with the Pathway to Progress. This program is changing lives in Nicaragua, and it's changing lives here too. Thank you for listening.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you so much for getting up so early to be with us this morning. My name is Barbara Dunsworth, and I'm one of the co-founders of the program in Managua. We feel pretty proud of the program and proud of the families and the kids that have been affected by our program. But I have to say, it's because of the generosity of all of you that we are able to provide the kind of programming that is reaching out to so many kids. And so thank you for that. It's your generosity that fires the things that we are able to do with all these wonderful kids. A simple donation is not just a donation. It has a ripple effect that can't be measured in dollars and cents. It's not a mathematical equation, it's a spiritual equation that can only be measured in the number of lives that we have affected and touched. Any success we've had is because of your generosity. I want to talk a little bit more about success, but first I'd like to tell you a little bit about what exactly it is that we do in Managua. A lot of people think we have a school. We don't have a school. What we do is try to find the very best schools that we can and get the kids into them. The schools we choose are private and varied. Right now we have 3 schools. 2 are Catholic, 1 is Protestant. They are all good schools that have a tuition that most Nicaraguan families could never afford. So what we're doing is providing access to good education that would be entirely out of their reach if it weren't for the Pathway program. And we do our best to find the very best and brightest children early on, and we work very hard to keep them on track throughout their school years. We start in the 1st grade, and we'll take them right through to college or university. We have a children's center, which is really just a small house that we rent in Managua. It's located several blocks from where a lot of the children live. And every day the center is busy with tutoring, kids doing homework, using the computers, English classes, borrowing books, getting reading support. And for the kids that are there over lunch, we feed them lunch. And sandwiched in between all of that, any special events we can cook up. When groups are with us, they might find themselves there making popcorn and playing board games with the kids one afternoon, or doing an art project, or any number of things. I like to try to find things that people like to do and engage them in that way in the program. We tried to make our center into a warm and inviting place for the kids, where we always have interesting things going on and where they always feel very welcomed and loved. So, now I'm going to go back to talk about success. How do we know we're connecting? How do we measure our success? The kind of success that touches children's lives. That's a big question to answer, but I'm going to try to explain it by talking to you about a little video that I saw maybe 6 or 8 months ago. And it's on YouTube, and it's called The Art of Possibility. And it's about the leadership style of Ben Zander, if any of you have ever heard of him. He's a eccentric, wonderful, offbeat symphony conductor. And he woke up one morning and realized his job as a conductor was to awaken possibility in other people. His energy is contagious, and it's amazing the way he has been able to tap into and bring forth incredible performances from his musicians. And what he looks for is bright and shining eyes. And both in his musicians and in the audience. And if he sees those, then he knows that he has met his mark. This is the only thing that he measures success by. It's powerful, it's palpable, and it's life-giving. And it has now become the gold standard, which we use in our own programming. If we're not seeing bright and shining eyes in our kids, in our staff, and in ourselves, then we know that something's wrong. Because we know that even in one small moment of shining eyes, a life is changed. And maybe that moment will be all we have with a child. But our hope is to create many such moments and build and keep building until each child has the confidence to go out there and be all she can be. You can't achieve the kind of academic success that we're striving to create without that key element. So one of the great advantages of being as small as we are is that we really get to know the kids. And Jennifer is one of those kids. Jennifer is a lovely girl who comes from a terribly poor and often troubled home. She's been with us since she was 6 years old, and she's now a lovely young woman of 15. And she's a girl that anybody would be proud to call their daughter. I see her a lot. She's at the center every day for tutoring, and she's in one of my English classes. And she also comes every day to eat lunch. Anyway, she's a kid that has always loved to doodle and draw cartoon figures. So one day she asked me how to draw a rose. So we looked online, we found a little YouTube or, I don't know, a video that talked about how to draw a rose. And she copied that tutorial and she nailed it. So I started looking around for art classes for teenagers, and I found one that looked pretty good. It was in a cultural center not far from where she lives. And one Saturday, she and I went there, and we went to check it out, and we met the art teacher, and Jennifer loved everything that she saw. And we asked her parents if she could go, and they said yes, and we signed